Well, welcome back to the Landrover build, the Armortek Landrover build. So the chassis is pretty much put together now. As you saw in the last video, I did have a bit of trouble getting the bolts through these bits. That took a lot of time with a needle file to follow out. I suppose I could have drilled it out, but I couldn't be bothered to go out in the rain and get my drill. So I did it with a needle file instead. Still got to get the shorter bolts for the outriggers. The ones supplied seem to be a little bit too long. But today we're going to move on to the front axle assembly. And this is the first mildly scary bit. It looks quite complicated. You do get a bit anxious about this sort of thing, just kind of thinking, do I have the skills to do this? I'm kind of glad actually that I started out with the Landrover, which is probably a little bit simpler and a bit less involved than some of the big tanks, and isn't such a financial commitment. It's just those worries that you have about, you know, the confidence. I haven't built models for years and I've never built anything like this, so you just wonder, am I actually going to be able to manage it? So it's yeah, a little bit nerve-wracking. So let's crack on and see how we get on with the front axle build. Right, got my calming cup of tea. So that's the actual axle unit. You've got the front and the rear look very similar until you get to the ends. Oops, a daisy, where you've got the steering gear to go onto the front one. And then you've got to basically put together these knuckles. So we need ET2013. So again, I've got my parts together before we start. You've got your drive shafts here, or half shafts. There's a long and a short, which I presume means that the long goes on the long side and the short goes on the short side. Tricky, I know, but there you go. They slide into there. Interestingly, because that's very loose in that, I presume it's held in place by other pieces. I need ET0211, the stub shaft, which is in here. Let's have a look. That looks like that. So stub shaft looks to go onto there, like so. The right way around here. And it's held in place with a pin. Okay. So that's slightly tapered. Now, there's a long end and a short end on this, and I'm not too sure which goes to where, to be honest. I guess there's only one way to find out, isn't there? So he goes onto there, like that. Then I need the pin, which is part ET3x12 pin. That must be therapeutic swig of tea needed. I think what we'll do is put that to one side for now. We'll try and build this stub axle assembly. Right. So let's have a look at these pins. Should be 3x12. So that's quite a bit bigger than that, so it's not those ones. It's a 20. So I want something a little bit shorter. Must be those ones then. Yeah, that's a 12, and it is 3. Okay, so that's that one. And he goes through there to hold that in place. Now I need to give it a little bit of a going out with the file. Is it going to slide in? No, of course it's going to need a bit of going out with the file. Right, needle file, don't roll away, Mr. Pin. It does make me anxious having to ream these parts out, because you sort of think that they would be made up the right size, and so you then wonder if you can actually make it too big. But it seemed to work out okay on the chassis bits. Right, well, we finally reamed those out. Unfortunately I don't have a 3mm drill bit, so I've got oversized butt, so I have to do it by hand with the needle file. It does actually say in the instructions, the orientation of these parts is important, blah, blah, blah. The long neck should be on the wheel side, so it's going to be that way around, like so, going through there. So, lost my pin. It does say to fix this in with a Loctite. They recommend two different types of Loctite. It's sort of moderately strong and the very strong. I just have a standard Loctite, so I'm just going to blob a little tiny piece of glue into here. This is an instant setting glue. It takes a few seconds, so just give you a little bit of time just to fanny around for a bit. Getting everything set up. Tiny coverings, that's quite equal there. That's better. Okay, so that's that piece in. Put the lid back on. He then goes into that piece, like so. Okay. Yep. Things like that could just do with a little bit of flatting off these edges, because if that's the steering, it's not quite smooth. So that goes onto there with a grub screw up there, like that. Okay, right, so we need to fix those in place now. That's the right one, there we go, and that's the one. No, of course it isn't. The M3s were the ones I had to use an old AF one, because I didn't have a one that fitted the right exactly. Yeah, there we go. No, oh, no, that doesn't fit either. Let's get one smaller then. Now, the question is, do we Loctite these in? I think I probably will. Yeah, I reckon so. Where's my Loctite one? There's my Loctite one. Cock. Where the fuck is that gone? Oh, there it is. These parts are so small. Takes a bit of getting used to compared to what I'm used to having on cars and stuff. So tiny. I'm kind of thinking there's going to be a fair bit of vibration once this is running if you're going over surfaces, so it's worth probably Loctiting quite a few of these screws in so they don't work loose. And tightening them in a diagonal fashion so that hopefully it'll all sit nice and square. This is when you find that you've missed off some vital piece and you have to take the whole thing to pieces again, which would be a bit of a drama. See, as I've glued it and Loctited it. Apparently though, if you hit it with a hairdryer or a heat gun, it will come undone. Okay, last one. Okay, so that's that on there. And then basically that end goes through that bearing and attaches to a wheel, which is that one there. Somehow that's as far in as that I'd go. Oh, you cock, I've got that the wrong fucking way around. You knob end. That way around. Honestly. Right, that's better. Okay. Then it goes onto the wheel. Now that's actually flanged, that piece. Oh, I see. Yeah, there's a grub screw goes through there. So you've got a wee little hole that's got a piece taken off it for the grub screw to go into, and there goes me Loctite. There we go. Ooh. So that is basically your hub assembly assembled. Ish. It also says to fix the inner face of that bearing. So I'll just have a little bit on the inside edge. I'm actually going to put it, I think, on this piece so that it doesn't run off as I put it through. It doesn't go on to other parts of the bearing that I don't really want it to go on to. Okay, so that goes, now let's get this right this time. So that goes inwards, that comes through from the back. There we go. So that goes onto there with a grub screw up there, like that. Okay, right. So we need to fix those in place now. So we need an M3 by 16 CSK, which I haven't got out. So talk amongst yourselves for a moment. Got bits of plastic over it from the bag. Get rid of that. Get off. Leave that for the cat to eat. An enormous vet bill. Right, so he goes into there. I'll give him a little bit of the old Loctite as well. Or possibly quite a lot of the Loctite. Maybe a bit of tissue got it. There we go, that's better. Getting a bit carried away there. Okay, so I've got the hub onto the axle, onto the actual casing, and the steering gear. I had to remount the holes for the, what do they call those? I don't know. The captive thingies there anyway. And then I've got the M3 to fit the, I presume is going to hold the track rod. Now on the instructions, it looks as though those there, hopefully you can see that, are holes. So it looks as though that should be mounted with that facing towards the front. But if you do that, you haven't got anywhere to fasten this onto. So initially I fixed that on, but I've had to turn it round because I think the holes are supposed to be on the back face so that that can screw onto it. At least I'm hoping that's what it is. It's not abundantly clear from the diagram for a bear of little brain like myself as to exactly how that goes, but let's fix on my tracker arm thingy doodlies. So he goes on to the there, like that, with a little tiny buttony job. I'm sure people say you don't Loctite all your screws in on your car like this, but you can rag them up a lot tighter than these. I don't really want to be winding these up really tight. I think the potential for stripping the threads would be fairly considerable. Oops, bollocks. I had a bit of a mess trying to find these. This particular packet, it can be a bit of a pain sometimes trying to find the different fittings. Found it eventually, tucked away in my unique filing system. Okay, so that is one side of the steering and stub axle done, I think. I don't think there's anything else to go on there. It's quite notchy, but hopefully it'll free up in time. There doesn't seem to be a lot to keep these in place when they rotate, so I hope they're not going to come undone. Time will tell, I guess. And at the minute there isn't anything that actually holds that in place, the half shaft. It just kind of clicks in like that. Yeah, even when that's on. There's no differential until you get the motion pack. There isn't a differential to go with this. Right, so I'm going to do the other side, more or less the same. And I'll come back once I've finished doing that.